Hello and welcome back. J.P.'s World of Wrestling. I am your man J.P. and today we're continuing on with my series of the Hasbro figures, or my collection anyway, and talking about the wrestlers that those figures represent. Today we're talking about a couple of guys because it's a tag team, so therefore we're doing it together. We're talking about these guys, Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, the Rockers. So, when these guys were in the AWA, they were known as the Midnight Rockers. But then they came to the WWF, and Vince dropped the Midnight part and called them just the Rockers. And they were a pretty good tag team. You know, they were quick. They did a lot of double team moves, and the fans immediately took to them. And they got in the ring with teams like the Brain Busters and the Twin Towers, and but they came in at the right time because the WWF, they needed more tag teams, or they already had a lot of tag teams, but they needed like kind of a smaller tag team that could move around the ring like quickly and make quick tags and all that kind of stuff. And these guys are it. Now, these figures, they're not the best, but I still got these still got a lot of play when I was a kid because I really liked the Rockers. And these figures, even though they've got the fused together legs like that, which I've never really been a fan of, and I've never really understood why Hasbro went that direction. But the rest of the body's pretty good. I mean, he's got this one punching hand, and it's got this other hand that's open, but it's still got at least one punching hand, and you could fly off the top rope. And this is Marty Jannetty, and he's also got the fused together legs, but both his arms. Now, I don't like the Marty Jannetty figure as much because I think this hand or this arm should be kind of extended out more a little bit, but that's kind of nitpicky, I think. I don't know, but no, but I love the Rockers, and I actually really did play with these figures when I was a kid. So these did get some play, and I can't say that about all these fused together leg figures because, like I've said before, I don't like these as much as the regular stance figure. But nevertheless, big fan of the Rockers. I remember back when the Rockers were on the barbershop, and it was probably one of the most epic and memorable heel turns I've ever seen, because both these guys were on there. They were kind of button heads at the time. They were kind of fighting, and so then Shawn Michaels held out his hand and shook Marty Jannetty's hand. We thought they were getting back together, but then out of nowhere, Shawn Michaels gave sweet chin music to Marty Jannetty, knocking him out. He picks him up and throws him through a plate glass window. And that was probably the biggest heel turn I've ever... Well, not the biggest one I've ever seen, but it's one of the most epic ones that I remember. And it was a pretty good moment in wrestling history. But nevertheless, so Shawn Michaels, of course, went on to have an illustrious solo career. And I don't have his solo figure, but that one's a really good one. I wish I had it because it's pretty good. As well as Marty Jannetty. Now, Marty Jannetty, he came in and out of the company like many, many times. I mean, he was hired and fired, I think, more than any other wrestler in history. He had some issues. Some of them he might still be dealing with in his life, but nevertheless, Marty Jannetty. I liked Marty Jannetty. I thought he was cool, but he just couldn't stick around for very long, for whatever reason. Shawn Michaels stayed around for years and years and years until he became one of the most beloved superstars ever. In fact, after Bret the Hitman Hart left, Shawn Michaels was the top guy. Shawn Michaels was the champion, and he was in there with guys like Vader and Owen Hart, and he, along with Hunter Hearst Helmsley, formed the group Degeneration X, which I didn't really like. I thought they were kind of a ripoff of the NWO, and I don't agree with a lot of hardcore WWF fans where, oh, but they did it better. No, they didn't. They just ripped off an idea because that idea was kicking the butt of the competition. WCW at the time was doing big business and making a lot of money and was doing way better than the WWF because of that one idea, the NWO, because people were tuning in, oh, what's going to happen next? What are they going to do next? And the only way WWF could compete was turn their wrestling into garbage. Unfortunately, that's what happened. And eventually in this channel, me and Joe are probably going to do a video called The Day That Wrestling Died, and we'll talk all about that. But for now, it's about these guys, the Rockers. Now, Marty Jannetty came back after Shawn turned heel, and they had a single match for the Intercontinental title, and that was a pretty good match. That was like a really good match, in which Marty Jannetty won, but it was short-lived because Shawn Michaels would end up winning the title back. So, but fun times. The Rockers, Shawn Michaels, Marty Jannetty. That's going to do it for this video. What are your specific memories of the Rockers? Leave them in the comments below. If you're new here, go ahead and like and subscribe. And I'll see you next time.